Well, I got a knife review, but you already knew that. That's why I clicked on the video. It's an interesting looking knife. This looks familiar. I posted a picture on my Instagram account, cutlerylover Jeff, and it's basically a shot like this, and I said, you know, who can guess what this knife is? And believe it or not, most people knew what it was supposed to look like, or at least they thought, you know, they knew what it was, because it is a direct copy of a design. But only one person guessed what it actually was. This is an Etlines tracker hunting knife, okay? And I think it's blatantly obvious, but it is mimicking the design from the Tom Brown tracker knife. There's actually 3 different trackers in the series. From the last time I checked, there's the original, then there's the Tom Brown Tracker 2, which is what this mimics, which I happen to own one. And there's also the Junior, which is like, basically, if you know, it's like folding knife size, but it's a fixed blade. But anyway, yes, this mimics the Tom Bracker. Tom Bracker. Who the hell is that? No one knows. Tom Brown Tracker 2. Okay. So it's only fair that I compare it in this video to that knife that is trying to mimic. All right. So this is the medium size tracker knife from the Tom Brown series. Now, I love this knife, and I'll tell you right off the bat, the reason I got this knife, not because I think it's a superior survival design, quite the contrary. I think this has a lot of setbacks for survival. I think you'd be much better suited with just a large, traditional sized fixed blade. But anyway, I got this knife because I love the movie The Hunted, and that's the style of knife that they used. Now, you know, in these different movies, I actually just posted a video on the Paragon Auto, and I mentioned this is the knife from that movie. It's not literally the same knife, and a lot of people brought up a really good point. Nothing to do with this video, but you know, obviously there was other knives that the Paragon was even mimicking to begin with, like the Dalton Cupid, right? That's like the original. But in movies, they use prop knives, okay? They don't use direct production knives. If they had this knife in a movie, they would, you know, there wouldn't be any kind of text on it. They would alter it a little bit to make it unique for the movie. It's always a prop knife. They're never sharp, obviously, if the actors aren't in danger. So it's Hollywood, okay? It is what it is. But just like, you know, in the other video, this is the same design as the knife used in the movie. And as a reference, Tom Brown was on the set for that movie, constantly giving these actors and the directors information about survival, about tracking, about knives, stuff like that. The entire movie, he was directly involved with that movie. That's why his knife design was used. So just as a little tidbit, he was very much involved with the whole production of that movie and some of the specific details as to what was going on. You know, what should have happened in a survival situation, what might have happened in a, you know, defensive knife situation, yada, yada, yada. So anyway, the design is very unique. It's very popular. Most people in the knife you know, community know what it is. But I was really interested in this one because it's basically, you know, when I saw pictures of it, cool, a Damascus version for a lot cheaper of a price. This knife right here, the medium-sized Tom Brown Tracker, the Tom Brown Tracker 2, sells for about 180 bucks on Amazon, okay? This one was at Etlines, which is, you know, located in Finland, and this one was $107.99. So, you know, it's a little bit more than half the price for a Damascus version. You got to check it out, right? That's at least what I was thinking. I got to check this thing out. And when I got it in the mail, you know, looking at it, my first impressions were very cool. And about 3 minutes into looking at it, I'm thinking, that's a little disappointing. Obviously, it's not going to be of the same quality, not only just because of the price, but it's a completely different manufacturer, just, you know, copying a similar design. But there was more disappointment than I anticipated. So first off, let me just say, the Tom Brown, what the hell was that? Let me try that again. The Tom Brown Tracker, good Lord, very, very comfortable, you know, very nicely finished knife. Obviously, this is made by Tops Knives, all right? You can see there on the scale here, very, very nicely done. I don't have a whole lot of Tops reviews, but I've had quite a few Tops fixed blades in my time, and they're all very good, high quality knives. Fin finish is perfect, nice little red liner in there, gives a nice touch, but I mean, just everything's comfortable. My micarta is nicely rounded. There's no rough spots anywhere. Fits the hand like a glove. The thumb, you know, rests exactly where it's supposed to. A little thumb ramp there. You got a little choil on the blade, attention to detail. The coating's nice. The grind, and this is very big in this video, and we're talking about grinds here. The grind is perfect, okay? continuously sharp edge, even throughout this strange, funky part of the knife, right? Evenly done, very nice. You have a saw on the back, which is functional. This is not a, you know, Rambo knife with the big alligator style, you know, spine. This is a very functional saw, okay? For all intent purposes, well, I just call it a notching tool because it's not gonna be that easy to saw through branches and stuff like that. This is really more for notching. But because we have nice square cuts in here, and by the way, they're crisscross and angled. Every other one is a different angle, all right? So all these little edges, I'll use this as a pointer. All these little edges, okay, right there, right there, right there, those are all very sharp 90-degree angles. All right, so when you're dragging this through wood, it bites in and strips the wood away, okay? So it's very good for notching, very functional. Whereas this spine, they mimic the look, kind of, but they went with just a simple, you know, triangular look, and although these points are flat, it's kind of ripping the wood apart as opposed to, you know, cutting it, shaving it, notching it, whatever you want to say. So definitely more, you know, for looks as opposed to function. Overall, they look like, you know, similar knives. They're, you know, hey, okay, different version of it. But, you know, the proof is in the pudding and the details, and it's always about the details. The first thing I noticed when handling, you know, this knife when I got in the mail is it's definitely a little bit chunkier, which is not that big of a deal. The handle scales are much fatter, but they're just less refined. All right, you can see it's just a very simple cut. The edges are rounded, but they're not really rounded. There's more of an angle here as opposed to you know, the original. It's much more of a smooth transition curve, extremely comfortable. This one's doable. I wouldn't say it's extremely comfortable. It's not uncomfortable, but in comparison, you know, comparison between this one, you know, night and day. Totally wonderful, right? So, you know, that was the first disappointment. Obviously, this has the, you know, I don't know what's wrong with me today. I can't talk. Screw construction. So if you wanted to, you could remove these scales, put your own scales on. You can remove them for cleaning, whatever. I don't know, whatever you want to do, you could remove them. This obviously uses pins. This is not removable. This is a permanent handle to the blade, okay, with these hollow pins. As far as the size, the Etlines version here, a little bit wider in the blade and a little bit longer, okay? But overall, like I said, very similar design. When I'm using this knife, okay, when I'm holding this knife, thumb ramp is in the perfect position. I have plenty of handle on here, super comfortable if I want to choke up on this. Thumb rests very nicely. This knife, not so much. This is more for looks as opposed to comfort. The thumb here, the thumb ramp, I want to back up in order for this to be comfortable. Naturally, it'll land here, which is in the middle of my thumb, which is not comfortable because of the, you know, the finger grooves and choils in the handle here. It's just my natural grip is like this, not like this. So it's a little bit squeezed in and holding it like this. When I choke up, the base portion of the ricasso here is digging into my finger. Extremely uncomfortable. Unlike the original, so not only do we have a blade choil here, but we also have a rounded guard. Okay, so if I were to, you know, jump up here with my finger and my pointer finger kind of squeezed up a little bit, it's rounded. It's comfortable. I could put some pressure on that. It's not that big of a deal. In this case, just unfinished. All right, it's all in the details. This is a pretty sharp 90-degree edge. This right here is almost as sharp as that, okay, which its main function is to cut through wood. And if it can cut through wood, it can certainly cut through your flesh. So as far as fit and finish, nowhere near the same as the original, and a little bit uncomfortable in that sense. So on to the blades themselves. The original Tom Brown trackers are all 1095, if I'm not mistaken. This is a true Damascus. It's 1095, but it's also mixed with a 15N20, which is a low carbon steel. Okay, that's where you get your different colors there. It's Rockwell 58 to 60. The performance on this portion of the blade was, you know, moderate. It was okay. It cut through stuff. It batoned a little bit through here. This portion right here. Due to the design, this is not the knife to be batoning with. It's just not. It's You know, there's many other knives that far surpass this as far as processing wood, okay? This design overall, even the original to me, is a little bit on the novelty side. It is functional, you can use it for this, that, and the other thing, but I much prefer other traditional style knives for that. But as far as batoning through wood and slicing and things like that, honestly, I have to put it on par with like a 440C, like a decent 440C. It's nothing to write home about. It wasn't a slouch. It didn't dull up right away, but it's really nothing special whatsoever as far as actual performance. But here's where the catch is on this. This grind sucks, the big one. I don't know who did this or what they were thinking. First, let me show you the original, okay? Let's look at the grinds on here. Because we have this interesting, design change, basically it's 2 blades in one, and it's extreme angle change. Okay, nice simple curvature down, right? Smooth transition in here. You can see the actual edge is sharp. It's sharp here, 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 here. Ooh, right in that point. Nice. Here, here, here. Okay, that's how it's supposed to be. Wait until you see this. We have a very hard transition right here. Okay, it's literally, this is the top of the stock. Okay, so this is as high as this over here. It's our flats. I don't know why, and I don't know if this is consistent with all of them, but that screwed the whole thing up, okay? Sharp, kind of, sharp, whatever. All in here is a hot mess. Okay, let me turn this knife like this so you can see this. Let me put my hand here so it could focus a little bit. Let me get the right angle here. Focus. Damn camera. You guys could probably see that. That is just, I don't even know, just a hunk of half sharpened metal. It's literally just a chunk. It's just a chunk of just jagged steel here. This is completely unusable. Not only is it unusable and not sharp whatsoever, but it hinders your cut. Okay, if you were to slice into something, I did this multiple times with cardboard, even though these aren't meant to be opening boxes. It's supposed to be a survival knife. The thing just binds up right here. There's no way. Okay, it just grabs and rips and tears. All right, I had to grab my old friend here, the jeweler's loop. Jeweler's loop, not Jew loop. I know sometimes I talk too fast. I don't know if I ever told you guys the story when I was at the store and I was trying to find jute twine, okay, for fire making. Jute, J-U-T-E, twine. Sometimes I talk too fast and people are looking for Jew twine for me. No one's ever heard of Jew twine. Sorry, we don't sell Jew twine here. Yeah. Anyway. So, all right, here we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There we go. Nice shot of that. So let's see it from the side. What the hell is that? Let's turn it. Whoop. Oh, camera. Cooperate with me. Come on. Come on, damn camera. There we go. Maybe. You see that? That's literally a big flat edge. Like someone whacked your edge with a hammer. You can see how they tried to sharpen around it. I don't know if this went through a machine, a big belt grinder. I don't know what. They're sharpening marks. But who would leave that? Who would say, okay, that's good right there. So you literally just have 2 different edges on here. This edge, moderately sharp, like I said, nothing to write home about. Certainly does cut through stuff, but this whole mess in here does nothing. With this knife, if you start a cut here, and you transition and you're sliding through your medium, whatever you're cutting, and it hits this point, it'll slice right through it. It shouldn't be a problem. Over here, it's just a hunk of steel. Absolutely ridiculous. So, anyway, definitely worth mentioning. Like I said, I saw that within about, I don't know, a minute of inspecting the knife. I was kind of looking at it, and I go, what? I think I actually yelled out, what the meat? But anyway. So, what else to say about this knife? It's got some cool file work on the back. The Damascus is cool, the firework's cool. A slight change in design. You can see the butt of the knife. I actually like this a little more than that, but it's nowhere near as comfortable. As far as functionality, like I said, the saw sucks. That's not really even a saw, it's just for looks. And this will, it'll chop through some different things. I was actually able to pretty easily whack this and chop through some 550 on a piece of wood. That was no problem, but I don't know when you're really going to need that type of skill from your knife. you know, it's definitely more of a looker than a user. And there's no shame in buying knives because you think they're cool. If you don't have 180 bucks for this one and you really want it, but you're really not going to use the thing, you know, you just kind of show your friends and keep it in your collection. It's not a bad way to go. The Damascus is cool and stuff, but it can't compare. It's completely night and day in between these two. I will tell you the sheath is awesome. Really, really nice quality sheath. And it just so happens that obviously because they're so similar in size, this does fit the sheath. All right, if you're going to carry it upright like this. Even if you're going to carry it like scout style on the base of the back, that's fine. But yeah, I like the sheath way more than, put it this way, started using the knife, put the knife away, kept playing with the sheath for a long time. Really nice quality leather sheath, stitching's perfect, just really, really cool. So it's not a good sign when the sheath is better than the knife, or at least more fascinating. So yeah, I mean, you know, it is what it is. As far as size on these knives, they're both very similar. Like I said, this one's a little bit wider and a little bit longer, but the original Tom Brown Tracker is, you know, it's a medium-sized knife for fixed blade. You're not going to do a whole lot of heavy chopping with this anyway, but if you really want to know, you know, dimensions and specifications, 9.7 inches on this overall, 5.5 inches on the blade. This is 3.5 inches. Okay, on this portion, and a 2-inch straight edge right here. And the handle is about 4.2 inches overall, okay, from top to bottom. So just to give you a reference for your hand, because my hands are a little bit bigger, and like I said, it's a little squeezed when I'm using that thumb ramp here. I don't like that all that much. The Damascus is very cool. It's a 512 layer Damascus, and once again, it's 1095 and 15N20 mix. Just interesting. You know, overall, like I said, it's not a knife to use. It's a knife to buy for collection or just to look at. But if you really want this design to get out and use and you know, and actually cut things with, like its intended purpose, stick with the Tom Brown stuff. Okay, Topps put out really good quality knives, so they could be much happier with that as far as performing. So anyway, that is my review of the Tracker hunting knife by Etlines of Finland. Cool looker, but definitely not a performer. This one's all bark, no bite. But, you know, to each their own. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you soon. Take care.